What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Let's talk about trka. Let's see what we did today. Let's see what the potentials are for where we could go next. As always, keep in mind, this is a bourbon and scotch review channel, and we just talk about stocks. So it's not for financial advice. Take it with a grain of salt. Let's look at it. We had a pretty awesome call out here in the last video about where we could possibly hit the brakes and look for a turnaround. That was around 2250. We can see we tested the box out, fell a little below, got the nice pop up, then came right back down for a second test support and a push from there, which got us out of this falling wedge that we've been dealing with for several days. That's good to see. Get the pop out. It was a decent pop, right? We set a little bit of a higher high, but right now this is not the most bullish pattern that we're falling back into. So maybe it comes down for one more test of the 2250-ish range. Test the top of the box would be fine with me. See if we get a breakout. I mean, we're going into tomorrow if it wants to continue this consolidation slash just compressing a spring. That's almost what it's like, right? As you can see on the line right here, we're essentially banging our heads off of resistance and continuing to set lower highs, and we have been setting lower lows, but right now it's trying to make a little bit of a curl back up on the 5-minute, but that's short time frame, so really it needs to break out of this trend line that's banging in over our heads, because who knows, this next 5-minute, right, could bang its head and then come back down and set this flat bottom. We don't like lower highs with a flat bottom because unfortunately sometimes the spring gets compressed and it just pushes it back down to the downside because the buyers are not stepping in with enough volume, with enough animosity to get it up and out of here. They're just kind of consolidating and soaking up the supply in the meantime. Now, that's fine with me if they want to soak up the supply, and if we want to come back down here and test, just be watching closely, right? Have your trading plan in mind, because if we do test that again, some of you guys may have thought, well, I didn't want to be here in the first place, so maybe you won't want to be here again, but there's always the potential that it can defy the odds and break to the upside. We're just looking at it on a relatively short time frame there as what it's doing for right now. If we were to take candle body to candle body, you can see we're kind of losing steam, so it probably should have broke out right there if it was going to, so that makes me think it might take a little bit longer. You can see, right, bang it here. Let me zoom in just so I'm not just talking to you and I don't know what you guys are watching on. Bang its head, rejection, perfect support, and then here we are down below the trend line. So I mean, by the end of today, it could be at a point where it's either going to defy the odds, work its way to the upside, or it's going to do what we expect and continue to bang its head until we possibly get pinched down here into our box slash what we have going on, which would be Tuesday if it wants to hang to the top of the box, and Wednesday if it wants to hang to the lower side of the box before it makes a big decision as to if you get the move to the upside or the downside. Heavy selling pressure came in on these last two candles, so I mean, big volume, which is good, right? It was at least attempting to rush back to the upside, and then heavy rejection back down to the downside just to keep it in that pattern. There's a little bit of a struggle because we know stocks are traded on algorithms. That's why we look at TA. That's why we draw lines, because the computers, you know, who knows who's bullish, who's bearish, and their computers just kind of fight it out. There's not somebody sitting there looking at the line like we are most of the time, just scream and go up, go up, go up. Right here, we're finding a pretty decent amount of supply. When we get up in there, we see the volume kind of step up on us and just try to control us as far as what's going on whenever we touch that, say, 25 cents to 28 cent range. It's going to be a battle when we get in there. The good thing about being in there is if the buyers want to pick it up on the supply side, they're going to have to step up their game. But if they get us pushed above here, it'll start acting as a little bit of support, which gets us back into our fib line, which is coming in roughly 30 and a half cents. So if we can get up there, and I'm like, yeah, that's a 3 cent fight to get to a little bit of a 2% area to breathe, which isn't the the most comforting thing, but hey, we gotta start somewhere. And just remember, this channel is not necessarily a moon channel. It never has been. It never will be. We take it one step at a time. Even if I'm playing the stock, I will talk about it in a negative light sometimes because it's just honest TA as far as what I see in the charts. And it doesn't do anybody any good if I just come on here and scream moon, 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 fraud, 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 crime, 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 and show you Fintel numbers. When has that ever worked for anybody, right? I mean, it's good for views, it's good for likes. It's not my style. So come back for honest TA. Otherwise, your other channels will support your little dreams. But still in here, and I still think if it's not a short squeeze play, like I don't know, we're seeing some differences between Ortex and Fintel, and Ortex, like I said, I don't think the numbers are updated yet, which is why we're seeing the difference, because we know the float has changed, but I don't think the reported as far as Ortex goes has changed. So the numbers are obviously different between Ortex and Fintel. If the shorts are still in here, that's fine. But like I often say, is I don't necessarily care about trying to be part of short squeeze plays, because short squeeze plays get manipulated, heavily manipulated, and I just want to see an honest play. If the shorts are gone and we're dealing with a normal amount of shorting, then I think the fundamentals are here for the company, which would be great. If the shorts are still here, then we're still making the battle and fighting the fight, and we'll see if fundamentals prevail over the short thesis. What I was also looking at on the shorter time frame are RSIs. I'm big RSI fan, so as long as I can see some sort of trend that we are slowly making the grind up, I like to see that. It tells me the buyers are stepping in just a little bit sooner, putting a little bit more pressure on. They're not getting crazy yet. We can tell by the highs that have been set. They're not getting too crazy. We're kind of settling a little bit back down, but we got quite a ways on our short time frame just to come down for the RSI, make the next grind back up. On the shorter time frames, even on the 30-minute, it's doing just fine. I mean, like I said, we're not setting any records here. We're just taking it one step at a time, and that's what we do. That's what we look for. So as long as this wants to make its little curl back up, I'm okay with that. Wants to bounce, fine. Go ahead, bounce. On the 1 hour and the 4 hour and the daily, they've been coming down pretty strong, and that's expected whenever you were cranking 85 on the RSIs. They're going to take time to cool off, which they've had 3 or 4 days now to really come down. So we're watching the shorter time frames just for smaller increments as far as when and if this wants to move. So what I would be really watching for in the meantime is, can we break out of this little area that's showing up as its supply, like heavy supply coming in? Can we break and hold 25 with strength and get out of 28? From there, 30 and a half, get back above there with some strength. And then I think we could make some decent moves. But at the same time, I want you guys to be watching this. You can draw it up, get your taps on your overhead, right? Watch where we're banging, draw up your little box down here. I have mine around 22 and a half up to about 23 and a half, so about a penny in that box. See if they want to bang us down and just how low in the box we want to go. But that's what we're looking at as far as the shorter time frame goes. I guess technically we did have a breakout, so we can't be too mad, but at the same time our breakout didn't get strong enough to create some sort of new trend that I'm really going to be watching. Let me zoom out and just see if there's any kind of no, I'm not going to tell you it's getting too strong yet, but at least we're doing something. And as we're recording the video, green hammer on that candle. We got another green candle so far, as long as, what did this one open at? 2493. As long as we can stay above 2493, we'll get another green candle here on the hourly, which would be okay. Again, 30-minute doji, so kind of undecided as of right now, which is going to make sense as we got about 13 minutes left in the trading day. So we'll see if we get the big hammer to try to turn this one red, just to switch up the algorithms. A lot of times what you close at with that candle, whether it be a green candle or a red candle, kind of sets the tone, the momentum for what the machines are going to pick up the next day. Let's look at the ortex. The ortex, like I said, I don't think this is updated yet, but I will continue to give it to you because at some point in the near future it is going to be updated, and we will probably see whether Fintel numbers change or ortex numbers change. So I just want to continue to throw this out there just until that time comes. The ortex number is saying 3.08%, 9.44 million. Cost to borrow average is way too high for the size of float that we have in this to be correct. That's why I'm telling you I think ortex is incorrect right now, and sometimes I'm wrong. But like I said, even if the shorts are out, that would be awesome in my opinion, because then we turn to a fundamental play, and I think we know how earnings went. The bad thing, our CEO kind of went dark on us. We don't know what exactly is going on. Would be nice to hear from him, but if he doesn't want to chime in, he doesn't have to. If there is any kind of hope around the speculation of a buyout, maybe he's in a quiet period and he absolutely cannot talk. If there was, I don't know. We're retail. We have to speculate. We have to think about things that could possibly be going on behind the scenes. We don't get a phone call. We don't get an email. Unfortunately, I think some people do. Right? Insider trading is strong, but we're not insiders, and we just try to create a thesis, a narrative, and see where it goes at that point. But I'm not mad about today, right? We were expecting this box to hit and probably pump the brakes. Perfect. Whenever I can see a spot hold that I'm anticipating to hold, I like to see that. I really didn't want to see us come all the way down here. I'm not telling you that is off the table at this moment. Again, we need to break out of this trend line, start seeing some higher highs and higher lows. Let's start working our way back to the upside. But time will tell. Let's see how we close. Let's see how aftermarket and pre-market goes. Let's see how the overall markets do. It looks like they might be getting some of these things with the banks in check. At least FDIC is stepping in. I don't know if you like to think that's a good thing or a bad thing. If it's protecting people's money, I think that's a good thing. I mean, that's what insurance is for. I've always said be overinsured. If there's nothing else you do in life, have enough insurance, no matter what it is, because medical bills, life insurance, car insurance, doesn't matter. If you're playing with somebody else's money, that's the way to play. Especially even in the stock market, right? If you can play with the house's money, that's the way to play. Overinsured, less risk on the table, and we take it one step at a time. So, well, I would love to stay with you and see how the market closes. If anything out of the ordinary happens, within reason of the areas that I've given you already, then I'll pop back in. But otherwise, this is what I'm anticipating. This is what I'm suspecting is somewhere that we will close out around 25.40 or 23.64. Anything outside of there, I'll come in and we'll recap and we'll just touch up to get us better set up for tomorrow. But right now, we're looking at one potential breakout, and we want to see how this typical bearish pattern continues to unfold. Hopefully, it'll defy the odds and push us to the upside. I mean, we're only looking at 1 day. This is very short time frame micro. I'm not telling you, it's over, it's done with. I'm just telling you, if you see a red candle, don't be surprised, because a lot of times these like to break to the downside. If we see a green candle, that is amazing, and I'd be watching for the breakout of 28 cents, and then from there 30.5 cents. All right, guys, thank you so much for coming back. I hope you had a good day in the markets. Good volatility, easy money. If you see green, take that money. I will catch you in the next one. As always, stay golden, people, and may your accounts stay green.